piece of the puzzle is you.
Some films push limits, and then there are the ones the world tried to erase. Today, we're entering the realm of the 10 most disturbing banned movies ever created. Films pulled from shelves, hidden from audiences, and spoken about only in late-night corners of the internet. Number 10. The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Third body was found here today.
A Poughkeepsie couple vanished over the weekend, seemingly without a trace.
When police raid a vacant home in Poughkeepsie, they uncover a monstrous archive, hundreds of tapes meticulously documenting a serial killer's reign of terror. Each reel reveals a calculated descent into madness, capturing abductions, manipulations, and horrors too raw to comprehend. Presented through faux interviews and found footage, the narrative unfolds like a cursed documentary where every frame pulses with unease. The film refuses to offer comfort, instead dragging viewers through the eyes of both predator and prey. Victims vanish, authorities chase shadows, and behind the lens lurks a methodical evil that cannot be reasoned with. Its grainy realism and emotionless execution strip away cinematic distance, leaving something far more invasive. Number 9. The Human Centipede 2.
What's wrong?
Martin, a mentally disturbed parking garage attendant, spends his days in silence, and his nights obsessively watching a notorious horror film. But fantasy rots into fixation when he attempts to replicate the grotesque experiment, only bigger, messier, and real. In bleak black and white, he captures victims one by one, dragging them into a filthy warehouse where surgical nightmares unfold without anesthesia, mercy, or meaning. Directed by Tom Six, this second installment abandons satire for sadism, creating a brutal, stomach-churning tableau that's as artistically stark as it is psychologically vile. There is no mad doctor this time. Only a broken man with a hammer, duct tape, and a dream too deranged to name. Number 8. Haxan. Witchcraft Through the Ages. A flickering descent into madness and myth, Haxan unfolds like a cursed textbook brought to life, chronicling centuries of witchcraft, superstition, and religious hysteria. From demonic rituals and nocturnal Sabbaths to the torture chambers of the Inquisition, each scene drips with eerie theatricality and grotesque imagination. Directed by Benjamin Christensen, this silent-era nightmare fuses documentary realism with hallucinatory horror, blurring the line between history lesson and fever dream. Hooded figures chant in shadows, devils leer with twisted glee, and women accused of sorcery suffer in chilling silence. But the film's true horror lies in its clinical gaze, how easily fear becomes persecution and how belief can birth monsters. Number 7. The Exorcist.
What is it?
When a young girl named Reagan begins to speak in tongues and lash out with inhuman strength, her desperate mother turns to the church for help, summoning 2 priests to face a demonic force older than faith itself. What follows is a slow, suffocating descent into spiritual warfare, where science fails and evil speaks through a child's torn body. The Exorcist wraps cold realism around supernatural terror, grounding every unholy scream in flickering candlelight and ancient rites. With crucifixes shattered, sanity tested, and innocence corrupted, the film claws at your soul with every guttural whisper. Number 6. The Evil Dead.
He's not gonna let us leave.
5 friends head to a remote cabin for a weekend escape, but what they uncover in the basement changes everything. A strange book of the dead bound in flesh and inked in blood, and a recording that unleashes something ancient. Once awakened, the forest turns hostile, and one by one the group is possessed by an unseen force that twists their bodies and minds into violent abominations. Directed by Sam Raimi, this low-budget cult classic delivers unrelenting terror through kinetic camera work, grotesque practical effects, and a nightmarish descent into supernatural madness. The woods seem alive, the cabin becomes a prison, and survival turns into a desperate battle against the ones you once loved. Number 5. Martyrs. As a child, Lucy escaped from a nightmarish captivity, scarred and broken. 15 years later, she tracks down the seemingly ordinary family responsible, seeking brutal revenge. But her act of violence only opens the door to something far worse. When her friend Anna arrives to help, she uncovers a hidden chamber beneath the home and a disturbing organization dedicated to exploring the boundaries between life, death, and what lies beyond through the inflicted suffering of young women. Martyrs is a savage, emotionally shattering experience that drags viewers through guilt, trauma, and the human obsession with transcendence. It begins as a revenge story, but spirals into something far more metaphysical and horrifying. Number 4. Men Behind the Sun.
参谋本部只认识到细菌武器对这场战争的重要，却不知道生物化学武器。
In the waning days of World War II, a group of Japanese teenage cadets is sent to a remote scientific facility, an ultra-secret unit where human beings are nothing more than living test subjects. As they train and laugh among themselves, the true horror of the mission emerges. Biological warfare, freezing and vivisection, and the mass dehumanization of prisoners in the name of research. The film does not shy away from showing the monstrous mechanics of atrocity, using a quasi-documentary style to make the audience a reluctant witness. Its power lies in the indifferent lens through which barbarity is carried out. No cinematic flourish, just the clinical cruelty of war laid bare. Men Behind the Sun isn't just a horror film, it's a confrontation with the sick capacity of humanity when science becomes weaponized. Number 3. Traces of Death. A visceral, lurid compilation of real-life grisly footage, the film stitches together archived clips of accidents, suicides, autopsies, war zones, and animal cruelty with minimal narration, and no narrative in the conventional sense. Writer-narrator Damon Fox guides this unflinching shockumentary past scenes of outright death and human collapse, refusing comfort or explanation. Rather than fictional monsters, the horror here is mundane, accidental, unavoidable. The film forces you to confront the raw mechanics of violence and mortality, cuts you loose from story structure, and drops you into image after image of the irrevocable. It's not about terror of the unknown, it's about the finality of flesh, the brutality of fate, and the cold reality that once life ends, what remains is still footage. Number 2. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A group of 5 friends ventures into rural Texas to check on a family grave, only to end up stranded, exhausted, and gasping for help. When they stumble across a derelict farmhouse and a chainsaw-wielding giant named Leatherface. Directed by Tobe Hooper, the film follows Sally and her companions as their daylight escape turns into a nightmarish fight for survival against a cannibalistic clan that treats humans like livestock. The film's terror comes from its raw, unpolished edges, the heat-hazed Texas landscape, and a relentless, merciless assault on everything ordinary. It's horror stripped down to bone and meat, voices fading, doors slamming, saw blades revving. And in the end, only one emerges, forever changed. Number 1. 120 Days of Sodom. In a remote villa during the final collapse of Mussolini's regime, 4 elites seize a group of young captives to enact a twisted doctrine of power, control, and cruelty. Over the course of 4 seasons, the captors orchestrate rituals of degradation, stripping away humanity in favor of obedience and silence. Directed by Pier Pasolini, Salo adapts the Marquis de Sade's darkest visions into a political nightmare, where every act of horror is state-sanctioned and systemized. Divided into circles of hell, the film marches toward its conclusion with a chilling precision that mirrors the machinery of authoritarian violence. There are no saviors, no morality. Only obedience, voyeurism, and suffering repackaged as law. Salo is not watched for thrills. It is endured, a bleak reminder of how civilization can cloak barbarity in ceremony and silence every scream beneath uniforms and rules. Here are 4 other movies you have to see. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
It's either you or them.
Did I stutter? Give me the $50 and get out!
Don't do that, Otis. She's your sister.
A drifter moves through city streets with a quiet, emotionless stare and a chilling past that shadows every step. His companion grows fascinated with his cold detachment and the darkness that follows him. The film captures the banality of evil, focusing on routine moments that turn disturbingly sinister. It's a harrowing look into the mind of someone who kills not for thrill, but because he simply does. Saw 3D. As survivors come forward to share their tales, a self-help guru finds himself entangled in a deadly game of truth and punishment. The legacy of Jigsaw continues to ripple outward, drawing new victims into its mechanical nightmare. With traps more elaborate and brutal, this chapter aims to close the circle. Reality bends as survivors and schemers alike confront their darkest secrets. Hostile. Three backpackers travel across Eastern Europe in search of excitement and pleasure, but stumble into something far more sinister. Beneath the surface of a charming town lies a place where desires turn deadly. What begins as a carefree adventure becomes a fight for survival. The film explores how far humanity can fall when pleasure and pain intersect. Mother's Day.
Shine, boys! Rise and shine! You back.
A trio of friends embarks on a camping trip deep in the woods, unaware they're being watched. Hidden away, a twisted family unit thrives on violence and manipulation. The matriarch rules with a smile and a warped sense of love. In this world, family means never being safe again.